Ladles and jelly spoons, welcome back to Badgerworks. Today, this. This is the Airfix 1/43rd scale Jaguar E-Type. And this is what we're going to build today. So, let's get on with it. So yes, this is indeed the Jaguar E-Type starter set from Airfix. And the keen-eyed among you might think, well, we just did a starter set car. We did the DB5 and we tried to make it shiny. Well, we're going to do that again, but with some differences. So let me get this out of the box and we'll have a look at it, and then we'll talk about what we're actually going to do with this thing. Here are the instructions and the before you start thing. This is actually pretty good for beginners. Well worth a look at if you've never built a model before. Instructions. Right, Jaguar E-Type. Once described by Enzo Ferrari as the most beautiful car ever made, the E-Type is as breathtaking now as it was when it was first released in 1961. Based on Jaguar's Le Mans winning D-Type, the E-Type had racing DNA combined with extremely competitive pricing and acclaimed 150 mile an hour top speed. We'll get to that in a minute. This led to it quickly becoming a 1960s icon. The earliest cars, or Series 1 if they have become known, portrayed in this kit were produced between 1961 and 1967 with two different engines, a 3.8 litre and a 4.2 litre, sorry. Over 22,000 E-Types were sold. Jaguar produced the E-Type in various guises, including a 2x2 coupe, limited edition lightweight E-Type, and a low drag coupe, along with many other variants. Now, the 150 mile an hour thing. Jaguar were determined to make this thing do 150 miles an hour, because I believe at the time there was not a production car that would do 150. And so they were determined to sell this thing with a top speed of 150 miles an hour. One of the things that's interesting though is if you look at, let's show you the box. If you look at the shape of this thing, what does that look like? It looks like the cross section of a wing, doesn't it? Because they didn't really understand aerodynamics. And I have been told, and I do not know the truth of this, but I have been told that it was actually the Jaguar E-Type is the reason why we have a national speed limit in the UK. Because when the M1 motorway was built, Jaguar actually used it as a test track to see how fast the E-Type would go. And so when the government got wind of this, they were like, that's not really what we had in mind. And so they introduced a 70 mile an hour speed limit. But I have heard reports that because of the unique shape of the E-Type, when it was going full pelt, it would literally lift off the road because it looks like a wing. So the air pressure beneath it would be lower and it would actually lift the car up and it would almost lift off. But anyway, but yes, they were determined to make it do 150 miles an hour. But anyway, there you go. I'm imagining these instructions are going to be very similar to the DB5 instructions, and indeed they are. The difference being they've changed the colour of where to put the glue. So it's blue in this one instead of yellow. But yeah, I quite like these instructions. I think they're very good for a beginner. So there you go. Oh, it actually shows you the decals as well. It actually tells you which decal to put in place, which is actually, again, quite nice. Good job. Right, let's see what else we got. Now we've got the brush, which we will be using. I'll put that in my paint stand. Now, we've also got the paints. And normally at this point I'd say we won't be using these. But in this case, we actually will. I can hear some of you falling out of your chairs in shock. Because this is the plan. We're going to try and make this car shiny like we did with the DB5, but we're going to do it with a paintbrush. Yes, we're using a paintbrush. This is not going to be an out-of-the-box build. We're not going to be using the brush that came with it. I mean, we will use it, but not for the whole car. But I want to try and brush paint something and make it shiny. So we will be doing a similar technique to what we did before. We'll be using rattle cans and stuff like that. But we will be using this, obviously the British Racing Green, because what other colour would you have a Jaguar E-Type? But yeah, so we will be needing those. So we'll put those to one side for a second. And I suppose we'll look at the mod. Oh, we've got the decals as well, which I can't get out of the box now. There they are. We'll have a quick look at these. Again, very, very basic. We've got a couple of dials. We have the indicators, the number plates, and the badge. That's it, which is really all you need. Right, let's have a look at the actual kit itself. Now, on the box, hopefully you can see that. Model design and tooling 2022. So this is a year older than the DB5, but again of a similar vintage, if that makes sense. Right, what have we got here? Oh, that's interesting. So the rear window setup is basically the same as the DB5. And they've kind of done the same with the windscreen. What is that on the edge of there? Is that? Oh, I don't know what that is. We'll have to have a closer look at that later. But let's look at the actual model. There's a lot of loose bits in this bag, which is slightly worrying. But at least all the bits should be in this bag. Oh God, where are my glasses? There we are. So this is a similar construction at first glance as the other one. So basically the two halves of the body kind of clamshell together. I think I might have done that the wrong way around. Yes, that goes like that. So it kind of clamshells together like that. But let's have a look and see what it's like. It's got the same wheels, which is nice. I think they're a good design, those wheels. Is this left-hand drive? That's outrageous. Yeah, it doesn't look too bad. There's a, what is that hole in the bottom of there? I don't know what that's there for. But the most important thing, I think this is broken off the frame. This is basically the interior. I think we'll be doing the interior black again, like we did with the other one, because we want to focus on the outside of it. What have we got in the way of mould lines? Oh, let me get this camera in and we'll have a closer look at it. Right, let's see what we've got here. Give me a pointy thing. So we've got one there that you can see. Actually, the camera's picking it up really nicely. And there's one on the other side as well. There's a very odd pattern in the plastic. Well, I think that is just a pattern in the plastic. I think that's basically showed you where they've injected the plastic. I don't, does that pick it? Oh yeah. So you see you've got like a cross in the roof, but this is where the plastic has been pushed in from 4 different angles, and this is basically where it's met, which is kind of cool to see. So it's perfectly smooth, but there is a pattern there in the plastic. We have another lovely mould line here that runs along the roof and then down the rear wing, and I'm assuming that's going to be the same on both sides, which it is. Not quite sure what those are there, whether they're meant to be there or not. I think they're actually meant to be there. Yeah, not terrible, but could be better. Yeah, not the end of the world. Right, okay. Yeah. Right. So I think what we'll do is I'll clean up some of these bits, and then we'll put some primer on it. Now I'm not going to go over the cleaning of this because it's basically the same process as I did for the last one, for the DB5, and I am, spoilers, I do have a plan for an upcoming video, which I'm not sure exactly when it's going to be, but I do have something where we're going to be focusing in depth on how to like work with a bad model, basically. But it's going to be the same thing as before. So I've got the same as well. I've got a couple of these sanding pads, and we'll basically just remove as much as this as we can and try and get it back to the way it should be. I say the rest of it doesn't look too bad. I think it's just this on the body that's going to be a bit awkward. But I'll clean up these and then we'll go from there. Right, so I have given this, well, I gave everything a coat of primer. It's just the normal high coat grey primer out of a rattle can. And I think we're ready to start putting some paint on this now. I did flat this off again using this fine grit sanding pad, which you saw me use before. I must remember to put a link in the description to those if anyone's interested in getting them. And I think we're ready to try and put some colour on this now. So, like I said, we're going to be using the paint that comes with it. This is British Racing Green. I actually have a pot of this somewhere. Where is it? That's not that one. So yeah, it's this 239. It's British Racing Green Gloss. But I'm going to use the pot that comes with the thing. Now, this paint is quite thick. As you can see, it's I'm not even sure if that's actually set in there. It's a bit worrying if it has. Let's give that a little stir. I'll just use a cocktail stick. Let's see what this is like. Yeah, see, this is terrible, in fact. How thick that is. I wouldn't want to try and paint this on there. It's very, very thick. But what I'm going to do is I've got some Humbrol acrylic thinner here. I always try and use the thinner like from the manufacturer. I find it works a lot better. But what we'll do is we'll put a couple of drops of this in. We don't want a lot. We'll put a couple in and see what happens. And we'll try that. And I'll basically just try and thin this down a little bit. Right, that looks a bit more like it. Okay. Let's give this a try and see what it's like. Should be good for a laugh, if nothing else. Right, let's start with the roof and see what this goes on like. We'll probably need to give this a few coats. When you're doing this, try and you want to get the paint into all the little nooks and crannies, obviously, but try and keep the brush moving in the same direction, because that will minimize brush marks. So it's like you might have to kind of go at it from different angles to get it covered. But once you've done that, just go back over it with the brush and basically try and get the brush going in the same direction. So it's like here, I need to kind of hit it across like that. But then once we've done that, and we hit it from one angle, but also try not to work the paint too much, because otherwise you'll end up just dragging it and smearing it. Honestly, painting with a brush like this is not the easiest thing in the world to do, and what you want to do as well, if you can, is try and cover as much of it as you can in one brush stroke. So it's like here, try and go right down the side and get as much of it covered as you can in one brush stroke. And try not to leave big blobs of paint, which is obviously important, because the last thing you want to do is end up with big blobs of paint everywhere. But there you go, that will give you an idea, hopefully. But like I said, the most important thing is try not to overwork the paint, because otherwise it will just start to drag, and then you'll end up with like basically lifting the paint, and it will just look awful. It's better to do it like this and apply several coats than try and put one thick coat on, because it just won't work. And all you'll do is end up obscuring all the detail and leaving loads of brush marks in it. But I'll get on and cover the rest of this, and then we'll see what it looks like. I'm obviously going to do the underside of the body as well. But like I say, I'll get this bit done, and then we'll go from there. So I'll do one coat and let it dry, and then we'll see what we're going to do next. Right, that's the first coat on. You can actually see it's got a bit of shine to it already. But there you go. So what we'll do now is we'll just do the same again. Oh, if I can stop battering the paintbrush into things. And we'll give it another coat. And we'll just do the same again, just basically we just want to build up the coats nice and slow and easy, and just go over it very, very lightly, just to try and get rid of as many brush marks. You see there's brush marks in it already, but that's all right. So same again, just go over the whole thing, and this is probably going to take several coats of paint to do this, to get a decent finish. But I'll just keep working at it, and we'll try and get something like a decent finish on this thing. But like I say, you don't want to overwork it, but at the same time you want to make sure you don't leave any, or try and minimize the brush marks in the paint. Like that, you see. So I will keep working at this, and we'll come back when it's done. Right, I wanted to show you something, and I'm hoping I can get the camera to focus on it. This has had about 3 or 4 coats now, but when I said about not overworking the paint, this is what I was talking about. If you look around here, I don't know if you can see, oh, there we go. You see the way that's gone kind of like orange peel? That is from overworking the paint, and it's when because this obviously this acrylic paint dries fast, and what happens if you go over it too much, you can see the paint has gone rough, and that's where, as you work the brush over it, it basically starts to drag, and it lifts up the paint, and that is the result you get, is that kind of orange peel effect, and that's exactly what I was talking. See, if you look at the roof here, you can see, yes, there are some brush marks in it, but it's not terrible. The boot lid has come out very nice, in fact, and the bumper's not, the bonnet's not bad either. But there are bits here and there, there again as well. I don't know if you can see that or not, but right there. But there are bits where it's basically peeled the paint up, and that's what I'm talking. When I talk about overworking the paint, that's what I mean. So to try and cure that, what we shall do is we will take our very fine sanding pad, and we'll just go over it lightly and try and flatten it out a bit. But I'm going to go over the whole car anyway, because I want to try and get rid of some of these brush marks. But let's see if we can get rid of that. Is that a bit of... Oh no, that's where the thing goes on. So I thought there was a bit sticking out there where there is, but it's meant to be there. Right, and then again on the roof. And there, you can probably see them better now, see the brush marks. So what we're going to do is try and get rid of, maybe not get rid of them entirely, but we just want to kind of get rid of the high spots if we can, without blasting through the paint. So I'll give this a sand over, and then we'll go from there. Right, so as you can see, I've given that a rub down. It's not, I haven't rubbed it right back because obviously I don't want to blow through the paint, but I've just smoothed it out a little bit. There's going to be brush marks in it whatever we do, so it's just, you know, we just have to get used to the idea. What I've done is I've thinned the paint down a little more because it was still fairly thick. So I've just added some more thinner to it. And we're now getting to a point where this is almost the right consistency. But what I'm going to do is, oh, that's way too much. I'm going to go over this again and try and smooth this out as much as I can. And then, so this will be like our final colour coat. And then we'll put some lacquer on it and hope for the best. So let me get this coat on, and then we'll go from there. Because what I don't want to do is obscure any more of these details than they already are. Right, so there we go. That's had its final coats. There's a little bit of on the top there that I'm not thrilled about, but good enough for government work, as Bunny Kitten always says. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to hit it with some gloss lacquer, if I can find it. So we're going to use this stuff, the same as we used before. This is the high coat clear lacquer. So I'm going to give the body a couple of coats of this, or at least one coat, and we'll see what it looks like. And in the meantime, we'll move on to some of the other pieces. Right, so as I mentioned, while we're waiting for that varnish to dry, we'll turn our attention to some of the other parts. And I'm going to paint the bumpers and the exhaust, etc. With this, this is the silver, this is number 11, as you can see there. Let's open this up and see what state it's in. Oh, that's not very good either. At least it's a bit runnier than the other one. At least it's actually liquid. There's not a lot in there, but then I suppose you don't need a lot, do you? Right, we'll give this a good stir, and then we'll give it a good shake. Right, let's pop that lid back on. Right, let's see what this comes out like. Where's the, there it is. Oh, there we go. It's more grey than silver, but let's give it a try. Where are my glasses? What were they? Oh, there they are, right in front of me. Can't see my glasses, I ain't got my glasses on. Anyway, right, let's see how well this works. Let's see how silver this silver is, because I say it looks more grey than silver to me, but we'll see. That's not terrible. I say it doesn't really make that much difference on this anyway, because obviously it's all underneath. You won't be able to see most of it. Although one thing I might do, actually, I might poke some holes in the ends of those tailpipes to make them look a bit more pipe and not just solid. But we'll do this bit first. So it's not that bad. It's kind of silver. It'd be interesting to see what it'd be like over a black primer instead of grey, but it's not bad. We're also going to do the steering wheel. It's kind of funny painting this over this grey primer because you almost can't tell the difference. It's kind of funny, really. There is part of me that is very tempted to drill out those where they put like indents in the steering wheel because it's like a spoked wheel. And I'm very tempted to try and drill out those holes. I might have a go at that later. I don't know yet. We'll see. And the other thing we want to do are the bumpers. Now, I left these on the frame for now, just to make them a bit easier to handle. Although we might go over these with the chrome pen, because I'm not sure this silver's really going to be up to it. It doesn't look great. I mean, it's, you know, it's all right, but it's not very silver. I'd say it's more grey than silver. But, you know. It is what it is. Because the other thing I want to do as well, once this is dry, is we're going to hit this with some gloss lacquer as well, just to try and make it shiny. Although of course it may, one thing you find with a lot of silver paints is they do have a tendency to go grey when you lacquer them, which is kind of annoying. But right. That's not too bad. And the other thing we want to do as well, I'm going to have to switch brushes for this. We also want to do these wheels. And we're going to do the same as we did with the ones on the Aston Martin. And we're going to dry brush the spokes. And so that they're a bit more visible. Now this is obviously black, so it'll be interesting to see how this works. It's not terrible. Seems to be the phrase of the day for this model. It's not terrible. But I'll get all these wheels dry brushed. Yeah, that doesn't look too bad, does it? And then we'll hit all this stuff with the gloss lacquer as well, and then we'll put some decals on. That actually looks a lot better on those wheels than it does on the rest of it. It's not exactly shiny, but it's okay. So yeah, I'll do the rest of these and then lacquer them, and then we'll put some decals on. Right, so let's put some decals on this thing. So I think what I'm going to do, see, really we should do those lights silver, but I think what we're going to do is we're just going to put the lights on and be done with it. So we'll do one of these just to give you an idea. I might do two. So I've got some warm water over there in me little air wick wax burner, and I've got me Mr. Marks setter, and I've got a pair of tweezers here. So we'll drop this in the water for a second. And now we get the fun bit of trying to get this trying to get a minute amount of decal setter onto this. This is going to be hilarious. Right, that'll probably do us. Right, let's see if we can get this in. Right, that goes like that. And then we try and set it. This is never going to work. No, that didn't work at all. It's just slid all over the place. Oh. Oh. This is why I picked this one, because I knew it was going to be the most difficult. This is never going to stay on here. I must admit, I'm very tempted just to silver these rear lights and then just paint lights onto them. No, that's not going to stay. Right, forget that one. We're going to silver the lights and we're going to paint them on, because that is never going to work. But I had a feeling that might be the case. So we're going to resort to plan B, and we're going to put the badge on the back. I did think that was going to happen, actually. I couldn't see any way that was ever going to set on there properly. Right, this goes in the middle of the boot lid. About there somewhere. Right, let's make sure I've got that the right way up. I always find the irony with this is you can probably see it better than I can, because you're getting it in 4K. Oh, come here. Right, you go on there like that. I have to say, one thing I'm always impressed with is the fact that they can actually print this, like, you know, this small, and it's actually legible. Does that look straight to you? Not sure if that's straight or not. It's a bit left wing low, I think. Out there somewhere. Right, let's see if we can get this to stay put. Near enough. Now, the other thing to bear in mind is that there are two E-Type like number plates, and one of them is slightly bigger than the other. The bigger one goes on the back. Okay, so don't forget that one. So we'll put the one on the front here while we're here, and then I'll do the rest of them off camera. But yeah, like I said, we'll basically paint the lights on. I think it'll be a lot easier. If you are building one of these with a child, I suggest you avoid the decals for the lights, because yeah, that's not going to work. All right, let's pop this one on. Out there somewhere, I think. There we go. It doesn't look bad, does it? So yes, I'll put the rest of these decals on, give it another coat of varnish, and then we'll go on from there. Right, so everything's dry now, and we're going to do a little bit of detail work, and I'm going to use this Molotov chrome pen to do some detail. So we've got, similar to the DB5 again, on the windscreen, we actually have the windscreen wiper blades. I did mention earlier, I didn't know what that bit was on the end there, but apparently the E-Type actually has 3 wiper blades, so who knew? I'd never noticed before, but then I don't really pay much attention to them, so. But we'll just paint over these. And I have to say again, hats off to Airfix for actually modelling these onto the glass, because it makes a huge difference. Oh, try not to get chrome all over everything, including myself. There we go, that's better. Right. And the trick when you're using a pen like this is just to very lightly touch it onto the surface. And you can see how well that works, and it helps as well. And again, credit to Airfix here, it helps having parts that are very cleanly molded, which these are. But you can see how well that's come out. And also I'm going to do the surrounds on the headlight glass, which I have again painted yellow, because I seem to have a thing for yellow headlights. I know it's very 70s, but for some reason I just think I like the look of it. Right, there we go. And we'll do a few bits on the body as well. Oh, actually the wheels. So the wheels we're going to do again the same as we did on the DB5. We'll do the center caps and the edge of the rim. Just to give it a bit of shine. Like that. And on the body here, we're going to do a few bits. So there's a chrome trim around the rear window. Well, there's chrome trims around all the windows, but I'm not going to do all of them. Oh, helpful I can see what it's doing. The only thing you've got to be careful of after this is not to touch it. Oh. There we go. I'll do the lights and everything as well, and then we'll paint those afterwards. Oh, a bit of fluff on that. There we go, like that. I'll do the rest of the lights and everything, and then we'll go on from there. Right, now we're going to put the glass in. So as I mentioned before, the rear glass is one piece and it just fits the same as it does in the DB5. So there's a slot in the roof that it fits into, and these should just snap into place, which they did when I dry fitted them earlier, but I bet you any money you like they won't fit now. Oh, come on. They fit in there fine before, now they won't go in. Because of course they won't. That's it. There it goes. Right. After much wailing and gnashing of teeth, that is in. Now, I know I said before you don't need to glue these, but I think I might just put a little drop on this one just to make sure it stays put. Right, so that's that. Grief. Now for the windscreen. So we want to pop that in like from the top and then kind of rotate it into place. And that is now going to fall out because of course it is. Stay there. Right. And for all you people saying, you can't use that kind of glue on this glass. Yes, you can. You just need to be very, very careful with it and just apply the tiniest dot like that, and it will work perfectly well. Right, that's that. Oh, now, I'm covered in dust now. We need to put these headlight covers on. Now, where's it gone? There it is. Now, the keen-eyed among you will remember in the last video I used this. This is a pickup tool. And I mentioned a method of bringing these back around if they stop working, if they lose their stick. And I said to roll it on some masking tape. Now, I couldn't remember who that tip came from, but it actually came from one of my patrons, Mike. So thanks, Mike. He reminded me afterwards. And the other thing he said, which he also reminded me of, is it's actually better to use sellotape rather than masking tape. So we're going to try that. So I've got here a bit of, this is just a roll of packing tape. And all you do is just roll your pickup tool across it like this. And I don't know if you can actually see that, but you can see it's leaving marks on it. And what that's doing is it's transferring some of the stick from the tape to the pickup tool. Now, let's say that's just a roll of packing tape. Let's see if that worked. So we want this one. These are really awkward to pick up. They're a very awkward shape. So this should now pick that up like that, you see. Nice one, Mike. Now, this goes on here. Oh, except it's not going to go on here, is it? Have I got that the right way around, or does it go the other way around? Is it that one, or is it that one? It might be this one. I can't remember which one's which now. Oh, I think actually it's that one. Right, you go on. Oh. Stay. That is not going to stay. Of course it's not going to stay. There's also a bit of fluff on there. Right. Oh. Just trying to get this in the right place and getting it to stay put. Right. This is where you have to be very careful. Oh, and not do that. Right. We'll put another little tiny drop on this side. Like that. A bit more fluff. This thing's covered in fluff now. Now. Oh. It's fine, everything's fine. Oh. Stay. Oh, it moved. Of course it moved. Stay. Little rat bag. There we go. They're not the best fit in the world, but they'll do. Whew, right, nobody breathe. We'll leave that to one side to dry for a while and move on to the underside and the drivetrain. Right, now we've got the interior and the lower frame. So the axle goes in there. Do not glue that. That doesn't need any glue. We do need to glue on the body though, so, or the interior. So we want some glue there and there, there and there. Okay. And then we drop this in place. Like that. And as you can see, I've already put the dashboard and that in. I did put some of that chrome paint on the steering wheel just to, you know, make it look a bit more chromy. And I did a few little spots here and there on the dashboard, as you can see, just on some of the switches and whatnot. Right. And that should be it for that. Now, we need the back axle and the exhaust. And the trouble is now I can't put this down because I'll knock the steering wheel off. I'll probably knock the steering wheel off anyway, but still. So this goes in here, like that. And again, we have a number of holes here to line this up. So I'll just put that down gently so I don't squash the steering wheel. Oh. Right, so we want to put glue in there, glue in there, glue there, there, and there. And now we pop this on without knocking the axle off, ideally. Right, that goes like that, that goes like that, and that goes like that. There we go. Right, and we'll leave that to dry, and then we'll put the, oh actually we've got a few more details to do on the body, then we'll put that on. Right, now we're going to paint the indicators with this X26 clear orange. That's that one. We might need to give it a couple of coats because obviously we're applying it to a chrome surface, so it's trying to bead up. Right, and we want to do the rear lights as well. And what I'll do is I'll do the whole rear light with the orange, and then we'll come back over it with the red afterwards. There we go. And for the rear lights, I'll use this X27 clear red. I mean, I suppose there's no reason why you couldn't just use a solid colour, it wouldn't really matter. if that's what you had. I mean, I wouldn't bother going out and buying this just to do this, but it's like, if you have it, use it. If not, just use what you've got, sort of thing. There you go. I think that'll do us. So we'll let that dry. I'm going to touch up a few bits of the chrome with the pen. Just there's a few spots that I've noticed that are not great. And then I think we can put the body on. Right, let's get this body on. Try and make sure there's no dust inside it. That's it. That actually went on with a surprisingly positive click. Although I think the back is not fitting as well as the front. There's a little bit of a... But I don't think that's going to be too bad. So what I'll do is I'll just very gently hold this together, and we'll try and get a bit of glue there and there. And I'll just hold this for a minute, and then I'll work my way around and glue the rest of it. But I think I'll do the same as I did on the Aston Martin. So it's just going to be a case of, like, we'll put a little drop of glue inside the wheel wells. So just there like that, and then the same all the way around. This actually fits together better than the Aston Martin did. Not that the Aston Martin was bad, but this is better. As I say, you heard it go on with a nice positive click, so it seems to be it's going to stick together better, or it's you know, in a better place, as it were. Right. A little bit there. And inside the front wheel well. Oh, that's probably don't need as much as that. And then round to this side. So it only needs a tiny drop of glue, just here and there, just to keep it together. It actually fits together very well. I say, some of these newer Airfix kits are actually pretty good. I'd say the only thing that's really let this one down to any great degree are the decals. Like, the decals for the lights were just not great. But aside from that, this has actually gone together very well. So we'll let that dry for a minute, and then we'll put the bumpers on. Right, time for the bumpers. This is going to be hilarious. These are either going to fall on, or they're going to be an absolute nightmare. Oh, that one fell on. Right, let's get a little drop of glue. In there. Stay. Oh, that one went on easy. Let's just hope the rest go on like that. Probably not, but we'll see. That one went on all right. glue there. They're kind of straight. That's it. That's got it. Okay, now for the front one. That goes that way up, I think. Now, let's see if we can get this in. Because I think what we're going to have to do, is kind of do that. Oh God, that just fell on. Oh, dust. Get off. Well, that was probably the easiest bit of the whole kit, quite frankly. Right, so we'll put a little drop of glue there. And a little drop there. And then we will let that dry. They're not very shiny, the bumpers, but we use the kit silver. And it's not terrible. It's not chrome by any stretch of the imagination. But there you go. So I've done the wheels. I glued those together. They're all fine. So what I'm going to do is I'll let this dry for a few minutes. Then we'll put the wheels on. And then I think we can wrap this thing up. And here is our finished article. I'm very pleased with how this came out, actually, all things considered. The only real issue we had was with the decals for the lights, but that's not the end of the world. You could get away with that, doing it with, you know, a bit of paint or some nail varnish or something. And the nice thing with this one is it actually rolls very nicely. So if you do it with your kids or your grandkids or whatever and they want to play with it, they can. But there you go. Yes, very pleased how this came out. I would say if you are going to be doing these with your, like I say, kids or grandkids or whatever, nieces, nephews, then it might be worth investing in a set of brushes. You can go somewhere like the Works or anywhere like that. You can buy like a cheap set of brushes for a couple of quid that will make doing something like this much, much easier. Yes, they give you the brush, and the brush is good for a lot of it, but you know, doing the body and stuff like that with that little pointed brush really isn't ideal. But aside from that, it's you know, it's all there, it's all good. I've also, just for a bit of fun, put this in next to our previous Aston Martin DB5 because I think they go together very well, and it gives us the the 1960s London equivalent of the Fast and the Furious. The original Fast and Furious, shall we say. But there you go. So yes, hopefully you've enjoyed this video. I certainly enjoyed making this kit. It was a nice little thing. I'd like to thank, as ever, my top tier patrons, Howard, Amy, Chris and Hawaii Clive O, for their continued support. And we will see you all on the next video. Thanks very much for watching. Cheers. Bye.